Well, it's that time again.
What time is that?
It's time to get naked.
Like all the way naked?
Well, keep your clothes on, but it's time for the Naked Party Time podcast where we get real and raw about life, leadership, and love.
While having lots of fun along the way.
So what do you say? Are you ready to get naked?
Let's do it.
The 6 best marriage decisions we've ever made. That's the conversation we're continuing today in episode 52 of the Naked Party Time podcast, where we get real and raw about life, leadership, and love. I pointed at you and you did nothing. We're off to a roaring start.
My mind went blank.
Welcome back, or welcome for the first time. My name is Jeff Manis, and I am joined, as always, by my beautiful bride, my foodie friend, my beach babe,
Ooh.
my podcast partner, and my queen, Sabrina. How you doing, Sabrina?
I'm doing pretty good today.
Okay, that's all you got.
How come I don't have any names for you?
I don't know.
I've never thought about that.
Maybe next time we'll have to have some names for me.
That's true. Maybe
A
I'll do the introduction next
A
time.
little worried what names you might come up with. School is back in session, which is probably as much an adjustment for you as it is for Jada.
Yeah. I felt like I spend a lot of time by myself during the day in the summer and in the school year. So
And you have to get up earlier than you would like.
yeah, it hasn't been too
Or
bad. We're
get
leaving.
out of bed earlier than you like.
Yes, we are leaving a little later for school this year. 6:50 instead of 6:35. So I do appreciate that.
Yep. We do have a junior. We're talking about college now. So that's weird. 2 years. We're going to have empty nest.
Hopefully.
You're staring at me.
Knock on wood. Why do you have to point out the way I'm looking at you? I'm just listening to you.
I'm trying to engage conversation and you're just giving me nothing.
I'm trying to listen while you talk and not interrupt you. It's called conversation.
On the last episode, we covered the first 3 decisions that are a part of the 6 best decisions we've ever made in our marriage. We also shared some of the ways in which we struggled in these areas as well. We'll do the same today. We're showing you some of our struggles right now, live and in person. If you are watching us on YouTube, by the way, hello to you guys there. Sabrina, why don't you recap us on the first 3 decisions, best decisions that we've ever made?
Okay. Number 1, seeking Jesus to be fulfilled. Number 2, filling up each other's love bucket. And number 3, prioritizing our marriage over our kids.
Seeking Jesus to be fulfilled, that is first and foremost. Your spouse or having a spouse will never fulfill you. If you look to your spouse to fulfill you, you are making them God in your life and putting a pressure on them they will never be able to fulfill. So we kind of dove into that last time. Then filling up each other's love bucket. So literally find out what your spouse's love language is, find out what yours is, and then seek to fill those buckets. Even if you're not married, I think knowing your own love language, how you best receive love, how you best show it, is super helpful.
Well, I think it's important to know your friends. If you have kids, know your kids'. Like, I love knowing my friends' love languages so that I know if I'm doing something for their birthday, I'm meeting them where they need to be loved. Like, I think it transcends to all relationships.
Yep. We actually used, it wasn't just love languages, but it was a test that showed how you best receive appreciation. Mm-hmm. We use that at Element for our staff.
Oh, that's a good idea.
To know how the staff best received appreciation, which is similar to love languages.
Yeah.
But it was more corporate minded. But even then, like you said, if you know your friends, your family, if you know their love language, your coworkers, you know how to best show that to them.
Yeah.
Prioritizing our marriage over our kids, that leads into the last 3 decisions we want to cover today. And remember, we could talk about the worst decisions we've ever made, but that would take way too long. We would call that the 600 worst marriage decisions we've ever made. Also, even though we are talking about marriage today, as I said last time, if you are single, this podcast does not exclude you.
Yeah.
You may not be married, but that doesn't make you any less valuable to God or to his kingdom that a married person is. I believe there will be some insights today that can apply to anyone, no matter your relationship status. And maybe this would just help all of us know how we could pray for our friends, our family, our loved ones in these areas, and how we can disciple one another and hold one another accountable as well. Even though this episode is about marriage, we can't say this enough. Marriage is not the ultimate goal.
Yeah.
Jesus is. Like, that might be one of the things we've said the most on this, all 52 episodes of this podcast. With that said, Sabrina, what is the next best marriage decision we've ever made?
Committing to a weekly date night.
One night, every week, where the focus is solely on each other. When we had kids, no kids around. Now, we've had our ups and downs with this, but this needs to be on the calendar and guarded relentlessly. So, we've struggled with even having it on the calendar and then not honoring it.
Yeah.
Especially if we aren't going out. So, why are you talking about that? The struggle that we've had with trying to honor it. And what are some of the reasons why that is?
It can get overlooked because even though it's in our calendar, you think, oh, it's not that big of a deal if we miss one. Like I can think that sometimes, but we do try to not schedule anything. Ours is Thursday nights, and it's moved all over the place over the last 20 plus years. But like if we are at home having a day and I am cooking dinner, I like to eat dinner with the kids, and Jeff doesn't like to do that.
It's date night.
I know, but maybe I feel like that because our kids are getting closer to leaving. So I'm like, why can't we just eat dinner with them and then go on our date? So we don't always see eye to eye on that. And sometimes I win and sometimes I don't win.
Typically, if we have a home date, it's, even if we make dinner for everybody, it's we get our dinner, we go into our bedroom, shut the door, and we tell the kids, it's like we're at a movie theater, like we are not available.
Yeah.
And then we watch, whether it's a TV show or a movie or whatever.
I have been trying to schedule Michaela to cook on date night. So then she's cooking for her and Jada, because you and I are fine eating leftovers. The kids don't always want to eat leftovers. Yep. So Michaela and Jada, I've just started asking them the last several months, what do you guys want to cook in this paycheck? And Michaela's cooking twice, Jada's once. And so I started scheduling it on Thursday. And then if we do get to go out, because recently we have gone out a few Thursdays, then they have dinner. I don't have to worry about them.
Yep. So if you have kids, this, as we just talked about, can really complicate things a bit.
Yeah.
It's hard to do. It's hard to do date night when you have kids, especially when they're little.
Yes.
One of the things, though, that we did when our kids were really little was we put them to bed a little extra early. You just kicked me under the table.
I'm trying to cross my leg without hitting the table on the bottom. You hit me.
We put our kids to bed a little extra early, and then we'd spend the evening together with a meal and a movie. And here's the benefit of that. Little kids, up to a certain point.
I have to stop you.
Why?
You have something blue on your mustache, and it's like shimmery.
No, it was.
Did you get it?
It's from when we cleaned the truck out. That's funny.
Sorry, it wasn't a burger, but it was very shimmery and in my face.
It was something from the truck when we cleaned it out. Little kids, they can't tell time. So if you just tell them it's time for bed, like they can't prove you wrong.
This is true.
And I remember our kids saying when they were really little, but I'm not tired. And I'll never forget one time saying, yeah, but I'm tired of you being awake.
And they were like, aw.
So it's time for bed. And we would put our kids to bed an hour earlier than normal. They had no idea it was an hour earlier.
Yeah.
We would be able to spend some time then together. You can also, when the kids are little, you can maybe skip nap time, which means they can get put to bed a little bit earlier. Like there are little tricks that we tried when kids were little.
And you can also partner with another couple with kids, and you guys could, 1 week you get to go out, they watch your kids the next week. So you could do that because I know we couldn't always pay for
Yeah,
babysitters,
absolutely.
and that's why
we were doing this.
we've had to do home dates so much because we didn't always have the extra funds to go out plus pay a babysitter. So partner up with some other couple that might need help with this area as well.
Yep. And that's the next thing we're going to talk about here is that a lot of people say, well, we can't afford to go on a date every week. And that's why, like, we are in a season right now. We've gone out a couple times here recently, but we're in a season right now of where it's mostly home dates because we are saving for a couple of big things. We're saving for a first 50th birthday trip that we're doing with all of our kids next year, my brother and his kids. We're saving for a wedding coming up. So if you're watching on video, you can see wedding supplies back here behind us. Our first grandchild is just around the corner. So we have a full year of things that we are saving for financially. And so a home date just consists of, we've already bought the groceries. You make a meal. We go to our room. We shut the door and we watch TV. And again, like I said, we tell the kids, like, it's like we're at the movies. And they don't always honor it. The littler they are, actually, the older they got, and they probably might be worse.
I think it was actually easier to do this when they were little and we could put them to bed. Because now they're 16 and 19. Yep. We can't put them to bed. Yep. And so in that like pre-teen, teen age, we're like, if nobody is bleeding or dying, do not come and get us. Like, you guys figure it out. But now Jada will still come to our door and Jeff's like, we're at the movies. And she's like, no, you're not. So even our 16-year-old can sometimes be the worst at needing our attention over nothing.
It does work, though, if you say we're naked.
Yes, that's
they're
true.
like, ew. Then they walk away. So
we're making out.
There was a little bit when the kids were little where we would, for groceries, we would buy one of the pre-made meals.
Oh, yeah.
Like Sam's Club had. There was no Costco where we lived. But they make those pre-made meals. And then I would have you go, we put the kids to bed. You would go to our room and just have your alone time, some peace and quiet, while I would make, in quotes, the pre-made meal, heat it up.
Yeah, we did that for a while.
Yep.
I forgot about that.
To where it gave you some alone time while I was making the meal, making sure the kids were in bed, and then we would have our home date. That's worked really, really well for us.
Mm-hmm.
Home dates have.
Yeah.
In fact, there was a couple weeks ago, you chose a home date instead of going out.
Oh, yeah. I just wanted to stay home.
Yeah. Which is actually sometimes even better. It's more relaxing.
Mm-hmm.
But we've literally, when people say we can't afford it, it's not just doing home dates, but it just costs you gas to go drive around and sightsee. Like, you love just driving around and looking at houses.
Yeah, I told Jeff today, in fact, I was like, I think I'm like a dog. I just like to go for car rides.
We found a park in downtown Houston here. It's called Eleanor Tinsley Park. If you live in the Houston area, go up there when it's like turning dark, when the sun's going down.
Yeah.
And the skyline, from Eleanor Tinsley Park, it's Buffalo Bayou Park is also what's called up there.
Yeah.
But you can see the skyline. It is amazing.
Mm-hmm. Take a blanket or chairs and a meal.
And there's a giant field. There's all sorts of people there doing the same thing.
Yeah.
But you can park for free there there's a little parking lot, and then you can sit there and just the view of the skyline is amazing.
Yes. We've done it once, and we want to go back and do that again.
You just kicked me again.
I did?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
We've also, again, this is a Houston thing, but we're 40 minutes from the beach.
Yeah.
So for the cost of gas getting down there, we can go sit on the beach for an hour. And it's so relaxing.
Yeah, we've
done that a lot recently.
Yeah, we've done it like 4 or 5 times.
Yeah, there's only, I think, one Thursday night we haven't gone down there in the last 4 or 5 weeks. The point is not what you do.
Yeah.
It's making it a priority to have alone time together separately from your kids.
Yeah.
And if you have kids. And I think it's good too. Double dates are fine, or if you go out with multiple couples, but it's good just if you're a couple that doesn't have kids, to make sure that there's those intentional times where it's just you and your wife alone together, you and your husband, and nobody else.
Yeah.
It's you focusing on one another.
And talking and having communication and and dreaming and planning.
Yes.
And
we've used our date night to do our annual goals and talk about dreams and what are we saving money for? And hey, we're spending too much money because of what we're saving for.
Yeah.
That happens a lot.
Yeah.
So committing to a weekly date night, that's the fourth best decision we've ever made in our marriage. And again, maybe it's not even weekly for you. Maybe because of your schedules, it's every 2 weeks or even once a month. The point is making it intentional, putting it on the calendar, and don't let anything get in the way between you and your spouse.
Yeah.
Okay. So taking it a bit further is the next best marriage decision that we've ever made. What is it, Sabrina?
Quarterly overnight getaways.
This is one of my favorite things
Me too. I was going to say the same
we've
thing.
ever done. I don't remember how long we've been doing it, but it is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
That one thing we have tried to do for the last, I don't know how many years.
I don't either. A long time.
In fact, one thing we've always done is at least once a year, getting away overnight, typically for multiple nights. We've always done that at least once a year.
Yeah, since Jonah was born.
But
22 years.
Yeah. For the last several years, we've been doing this quarterly. And we try to get away for at least a weekend, if not a week by ourselves every year. But quarterly,
Yeah.
at least one night away. No kids, just you and me, going somewhere. It might be to a hotel in the same town. It might be in our own house and the kids are all staying somewhere else and we're alone by ourselves. But every quarter, we took up camping the last couple of years. We've done that. One night away by ourselves every quarter. And then typically, we usually get a whole week away by ourselves every year.
Mm-hmm.
And we've done that for a long, long time. And here's a couple of reasons why. Okay. We do have kids. I understand. Not every couple has kids. If you don't, this is still a great thing for you to do, to get away out of the routine of your house, get
It's
away.
being intentional.
Yes. But for us with our kids, and if you have kids, our kids need to know they are okay without us.
Yes.
That is a huge, huge thing. Like kids need to know that they are okay if their parents aren't there. Trust me, as much as you need a break from your kids,
Mm-hmm.
they need a break from you.
Yeah, they just don't have
It's
the
good.
language
It's
to
good for them.
say,
Yep.
Mom and Dad go out. Like, they just don't know that. But
Yep.
it's good for other people to take care of your kids. It's good for non-family to take care of your kids.
Yep.
It takes a village,
village.
to raise your children. That is so true. And
Yep.
if you ask somebody to watch your kids, what's the worst they can say?
No.
No.
Exactly.
So, like, it's not hard to ask for help. We
Yep.
all need to do it.
Yep. And so we've just been doing this for the last, again, for the quarterly thing, it's been years.
Yeah, I don't
The
know.
annual thing, it's been since we were married.
Yeah.
We've always done that.
Yeah.
We just did our last quarterly getaway. July 4th was on a Tuesday, and our office was closed on that Tuesday. So I took a vacation day on Monday. We rented a retro RV up in Lake Houston for 2 nights. It was awesome.
It was awesome.
We literally just laid around in that RV. It was awesome.
We did drive around.
We did. Yeah, we drove around. We
We
did some
sat-
sightseeing.
Mhm.
We pre-made some food, but we also made some food there in the trailer. There was some walking there at the RV campground. There's
But we did lay in bed a
yeah,
lot
lay in bed a
and
lot.
just did nothing.
Yep.
It was awesome.
We've also done this for free before, using places like a cabin that our friends had. They let us use their cabin.
Yeah.
We've had people gift us in the past timeshares that we've been able to use. We go camping in our truck tent.
Mm-hmm.
That's when the last year in Wyoming, we did that quite a bit, and then we've done it once here.
I know.
But we're going to go again.
Yes.
Once it gets cool enough.
Yes, I'm excited.
So it doesn't have to be a luxurious vacation. Again, it's just prioritizing getting away with your spouse. It could be as simple as finding somebody to watch your kids for a night or two, and then you stay in your home alone. It could be as simple as that.
Yeah.
It's not about what you do
Right.
or where you go. It's that you are prioritizing extended time alone together without your kids and without other distractions. Now, this does take planning.
Mm-hmm.
We are always, like you and I are always, this last night we were doing it, sitting on the beach on our date night,
Mm-hmm.
talking about our next getaway.
Yeah.
And we are always talking about dreaming, planning our next getaway. And I'm pretty sure we've done one every quarter for the last 5 or 6 years intentionally. We've gotten away every year since I can remember.
I think it kind of helps keep your relationship fresh because we all want to escape life to some degree. So then to be talking with your spouse, what's the next thing we're going to do? What are we going to do this quarter? What are we going to do on this date night? Like it keeps that open dialogue of pursuing each other constantly.
Yep.
I think that's healthy.
Yeah. Yep. And there's something good about getting out of your home if you can do this out of your home.
Yeah.
Because then you don't see the pile of laundry. You don't see the dirty dishes. Like you're at a hotel, they're going to clean up for you.
Yeah.
You're out camping. You're going to pack it all up tomorrow and go back home. Like you don't see the stuff that you see at home. The lawn doesn't need mowed. All that the kids' rooms isn't dirty.
Yeah.
It might be dirty, but you're not there to see it.
Yeah.
So that if at all you can get away from your house, at least do that once a year.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
And it takes money too.
Yeah.
We've made this a priority financially for us, which limits other things we can do. But it's been a game changer.
But it's worth the sacrifice, even financially, to make these travel plans and make these memories because the memories will last.
Oh, man. That's what we talk about.
A lifetime.
We talk about that all the time.
Yeah.
So we decided that we weren't going to wait for retirement or wait to be empty nesters to start traveling together or spending intentional time together. As we're finding out, as our kids leave the nest and start their own lives and families, it requires more effort and time on our part to stay connected to them.
Yeah.
So we're moving into a season where a lot of our travel might have to be to go see our kids who are going to be perhaps all over the country. We have our daughter and son-in-law and coming grandson, Lord willing, who live in Wyoming. Michaela is going to be stationed with her husband, who she's marrying in December, in Syracuse, New York area. Jonah lives over in Lake Charles, and who knows where the Lord's going to take Jada. So I'm so glad that we've been doing this for years, because our attention might have to shift in the coming years on, hey, we might not be able to travel as much together because we're going to see our kids.
Right. We might not get to choose the destination per se.
Yeah.
Because we're choosing our children.
And maybe we'll build some getaways around where our kids are.
Right. There's all sorts of things I want to see where Michaela's.
You're already making plans.
I know.
Go to
I'm
New
like,
York.
next September, we're going to New York. I'm already spending all of our money and planning all the things.
Yep. So again, please understand, the weekly date night, the overnight getaway, these are not things that we are saying that you have to do.
No.
In order to have a thriving marriage. For us, they're just things we believe were some of the best decisions we've ever made.
I think for us, they're non-negotiables.
For us, they are. Yeah. Absolutely. And especially the getaways have just been, out of all 6 things, it's not the most important because like Jesus is obviously most important.
Yeah.
But it's I don't think this will sound bad. It's the one that I enjoy the most.
Yeah, me too.
The planning part of it, the dreaming part of it, and the doing part of it.
Yeah.
And outside of Jesus, I do think it's the one that's been the most unifying for us in our marriage.
Yeah.
Is that.
I love it.
Yeah, me too.
I'll go anywhere with you.
Oh, thanks. Except on adventures. Like risky adventures. You're not going to go skydiving with me.
No, I will not do that.
But you'll go with me to where I might go skydiving.
Yes, I will watch you. I will support you, but I will not participate.
It's like going to amusement parks. You'll go to an amusement park, but you're not going to ride the rides.
No, but I'll have a blast.
Yep. Just watching people.
Yes.
So what's the last best decision we've made in our marriage, Sabrina?
The pursuit of healthy sexual intimacy. Oh, we should have a song right here.
Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Bad song.
We probably know words to too many bad songs, unfortunately, from our teenage years.
So we did 2 entire podcast episodes on sexual intimacy in episode 21 and 22. We also did 2 whole podcasts on marriage in episode 18 and 19, and an episode on the 5 levels of intimacy in episode 20. So you can go back.
That's crazy. We've done so much.
I went back and looked at all those. So you can go back, episode 21 and 22, episode 18 and 19, and episode 20. I guess I could just say episode 18 through 22, and you hit all those. I don't know why I did it that order. I think it's because I was going back looking at all the lists.
Yeah. It's funny.
But for this discussion, one of the best decisions we've ever made was to intentionally pursue healthy sexual intimacy in our marriage. Notice, I did not say that we intentionally pursued lots and lots of sex. I said we pursued healthy sexual intimacy, and there is a difference. You can actually have lots of sex and not be healthy
Right.
in sexual intimacy.
Right.
Because sex does not equal intimacy. As we're going to talk about, I do think it's a byproduct of intimacy, but it's not equal intimacy. Okay? So when the heart, soul, mind, and body of each spouse in a marriage are healthy, heart, soul, mind, and body, when those are healthy, sexual intimacy should be the natural byproduct of relational intimacy in a marriage. Make sense?
Yeah, that's good.
Let me be clear. We don't need sex. It is not a need.
Right.
Air is a need.
Yes.
Water is a need. Food is a need. Sex is not.
The culture has not been very helpful.
Correct. And quite frankly, neither is the church.
Right. Big C church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you will never find somebody rush to the emergency room, wheeled in on a gurney, and they say, "What's the problem?" Have not had sex. oh, we need to get some sex. Stat. Right? That's not a thing, right?
No.
If you go without air, that's a problem.
Yes.
Go without water, problem. Go without food, problem. You can survive without sex.
Right.
It may not seem like it at times because it is a very consuming thing, can be a very consuming thing in a person.
Well, our culture is very, very sexualized.
Yeah.
For Pete's sake, even shampoo is a sexualized commercial nowadays.
Yeah.
Like sex literally is trying to sell
Yeah.
everything.
Yep. So again, just want to be clear, sex is not a need. However, I do believe that if a marriage is not pursuing and producing regular, healthy, selfless, mutual, enjoyable sexual intimacy, then it's a sign that there is something unhealthy somewhere else. I don't think that's a stretch to say.
Right.
Like lots of times, there's an actual desire for healthy sexual intimacy, but there's other things that impede that pursuit.
Right.
Like, for instance, there are some people that have legitimate physical issues that greatly hinder the sexual intimacy they want to have with their spouse.
Right.
Now, you can't control that. So that's not something that we should feel shame about,
Right.
guilt about, condemnation about. It is something that we should seek help on, but there are legitimate sexual issues or physical issues that hinder sexual intimacy, both in the female and the male. Even things which you have struggled with,
Yeah.
which is like diagnosed low testosterone, which you need testosterone to increase libido.
Right.
So you've faced some of that.
Well, and just in women, our hormones, I'm at the age where my hormones are changing once again, and it does. There's all sorts of side effects to just natural changing things as you age, but then there's also physical diseases and other things that men and women both struggle with.
Yep.
And if we are feeling shame, it's not from God.
Correct.
That is from the enemy.
Yes. Yep. I mean, I don't want to get too graphic here, but like for men, there is legitimately erectile dysfunction issues.
Yeah.
For women, there can be all sorts of different vaginal issues, infections that you can get because you're having intercourse.
Right.
Like they're just literally run the gamut. There is a number of different physical issues that can hinder somebody's desire, or not desire, fulfillment of a desire
Right.
for healthy sexual intimacy with their spouse.
Which can affect your desire because
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
can feel bad.
Feel defeated.
Yes.
Yep,
and
that's
so
true.
then that does affect you.
Yep. So there are physical issues. There are emotional issues
Mm-hmm.
that can impede the pursuit of a healthy sexual intimacy. Even though you might desire it, there might be things that happened in your past, traumas, hurts that if not dealt with, if the Holy Spirit has not invaded that part of your life and
Right.
brought some healing, that can impede sexual intimacy.
Well, there's lies that we can
Yep.
believe.
So there's spiritual
I mean,
issues.
this
Yep.
the enemy wants. Well, he doesn't want anybody to be married or unified. He definitely doesn't want married couples having healthy sex. I mean, he is going to do anything he can to pull us apart in all
Yeah.
of the areas. And sex is a big one because he is thriving in our sexualized culture that we're participating in and being affected
Yep.
by.
And so the spiritual issues.
Yeah.
And there could be relational unhealth happening, unresolved conflict between you and your spouse, or unmet expectations or unspoken expectations
Right.
of frequency of sex, how you're going to have sex, like all those kind of things.
Right.
So I just want to be clear again and state this. I do believe that if a marriage is not pursuing and producing regular, healthy, selfless, mutual, enjoyable sexual intimacy, it's a sign that there is something unhealthy somewhere else. And you need to have a conversation around what that might be.
Right.
And we're going to get to conversation here in a second. Sexual intimacy was designed by God
Mm-hmm.
to be a natural byproduct of marital intimacy. So if that's not a byproduct, something's getting in the way.
Right.
And it's hard work to maintain intimacy.
Right.
Like anyone can have sex. That's you don't have to go to 9th grade health class to figure that out.
Right.
Anybody can have sex. It's hard work to develop intimacy.
Right.
So, again, here's one of the things that we struggled with early on in our marriage that I think we're getting much, much better at now, and I would say we're probably good at it now, is talk about things.
Yeah.
Have the awkward conversations. Like, I'm telling you, no matter how close you are to your spouse, it can be awkward and usually is when you're talking about sex.
I think it's way easier to get naked with somebody than it is to have these conversations,
Yeah.
which is so
Yeah.
backwards.
Yeah.
Like we're willing to get naked and do the act, but we're
Not
not
talk about
willing to talk about it. And
Yep.
I am definitely talking about myself as well. Like it's when you say it out loud, it's funny in a sense because it's so backwards, but it is such an intimate conversation to have that you're only supposed to be having it
Yeah.
in the context
Yes.
of marriage with one person. But man, it's hard to shine the light into that
Mhm.
darkness,
Yep.
which the enemy loves that. He
Yep.
loves for us to stay quiet and isolated so he can do his best work.
Yep. So talk about the things
Right.
that are impacting your sexual intimacy. Maybe there are some unmet spiritual needs, physical needs, emotional needs that should be addressed first.
Yeah.
Like the last thing I want a couple to do is just have sex thinking that will fix something.
Right.
Because you need to talk about the thing that is actually keeping you from the deepest level of intimacy, which then can and should produce sexual intimacy.
Right.
It's a byproduct of real intimacy.
Right.
So work on things. Try something new. Talk about what you like and what you don't like. Talk about what helps lead you toward sexual intimacy and what doesn't.
Yeah.
Like, you got to have the conversation
Right.
if this is going to work in a marriage. Get away from your normal routines. This is one of the reasons why overnight getaways can be so important. Like, from a woman's perspective, talk about why overnight getaways for you are important for sex.
Well, there's no children that could possibly knock on the door to see what we're doing. I can't see anything that needs to be done. Like my brain has so many dang files opened that it is hard to shut it down.
Yeah.
And if I can see messy things or know that there's a chance the kids might come to the door or the kids might hear something, like it is so hard to get my mind focused on what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And so when we go away, I don't own anything.
Yeah.
None of it's mine. I don't have to clean it up. I don't have to think about it. Nobody can come to the door. Like there's just so much freedom in that. And my mind is so much more clearer.
Yep. So like speaking in broad strokes for a guy, like pretty one-track mind. Like when sex is on the table, like it's you're just gonna
all the files shut.
Yeah.
I don't understand
there's only
that.
one file open in the brain. But again, not always the case. But speaking in broad strokes for women, lots of files open at the same time.
Yes.
So getting away is a big thing for you.
I've even asked Jesus, help me shut the files down. Like, because I want to focus. It is always awesome, but I cannot always get my head there.
Say that again.
It's always
Oh,
awesome.
Okay. Yeah. We would even say schedule sex.
Yes.
And I know some people think, well, that takes away the spontaneity. But if you're not doing it already, what does it matter?
Right.
Like if you need to, schedule it.
Right.
One of the things that we say is the first rule of date night is what?
Have sex.
First rule of date night. Now, it doesn't always happen,
Right.
but we try to make it a priority that at least on date night, like we're going to try to intentionally come together as one sexually. For the last several years, Sabrina and I have actually set intimacy goals for the year, and it's made sex kind of like a game for us, which has made it fun.
Yeah, it's like a challenge.
Yeah.
We're counting how many
Yeah.
times have we done it? Are we gonna make our goal?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's helped bring that excitement back
Yeah.
in because we're talking about it.
Yep. So it's just keeping it a priority.
Yeah.
Like everything else we've said, it's not about like for let's say for sex, it's not about how often you do it. It's about, is it a priority
Right.
to even seek it out?
Right.
And I'm not going to be one that was going to tell somebody how many times a married couple should have sex.
No. That's all over the place.
Yeah, absolutely. There's different sex drives. There's different seasons you go through. Like we've had our seasons of just even this year of, for whatever reason, there was things that were impeding sexual intimacy. And so you'll go through seasons where it's not as frequent. You'll go through others where it's much more frequent. And the whole point is to continue keeping this in your conversation. Continue talking about it. Continue asking questions. Continue expressing your expectations,
Right.
your frustrations. Like that's what develops intimacy. The sex does not develop intimacy. The sex is a byproduct of intimacy. And it is the literal one flesh coming together of a husband and a wife that unifies the spouses together like nothing else.
Right.
There is something spiritual that happens, and we talk about that in the episodes on sex we've done previously. You might need to seek out some professional help and some counseling regarding sexual intimacy in your marriage, and there is no shame in that.
Right.
If it is important, and it's important enough to get help if you need it. And so if you happen to be a married couple that's experiencing difficulties in this area, like first of all, you are not alone.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Like every couple struggles with this at some point. Everyone. So if you need help, get it. And then second of all, please don't allow condemnation or shame to prevent you from the difficult conversations or the difficult help you might need to take a step forward.
Right. We have to shine the light
Yep.
into the darkness. We can't let the enemy win in that aspect.
Yep.
And I am speaking to myself because we had a bad month in May
Yep.
when I was depressed.
Yep. Yep.
But once we shine the light in, everything changed. Don't
And
be-
we've grown a lot
yeah.
in how we deal with the down seasons. Like I in the past would be passive aggressive.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
I don't know if
interesting.
you didn't know that?
No, I
Oh.
never knew that.
Now I'll speak for you. Your MO, your method of operation, when the desire just isn't there, is avoidance.
Right. I won't go to
Mine-
bed at the same time
yeah.
as you. I'll stay up later.
Yeah.
I know how to avoid you.
Don't talk about it. Don't
Yes.
mention it.
Don't look at you the wrong way. Like, I know how to avoid you, which is unhealthy.
My MO, if I'm going to default to a negative side, is being passive aggressive. Instead of just talking about it, making a comment, a side-handed comment
Mm-hmm.
about whatever it is, the lack of sex, the lack of interest, whatever. This last time, I feel like we dealt with it the best.
Yeah.
You were kind of going into avoidance mode, but I wasn't going to let you.
Right.
And we did. I just said, we have to talk about this. Like, there's something going on. What is it? And we did. We figured it out and turned the corner,
Mm-hmm.
and it's been good.
Right.
But every couple struggles with this.
Yeah.
And I think every couple will struggle with this, because if this is one of the primary ways a husband and wife come together as one, what do you think the devil's going to do?
I know. He hates it.
Yep.
He hates
He's
it.
going to keep every couple from being able to be sexually intimate or intimate on any other level, which results in sexual intimacy.
Well, and to, like, I don't know. I know we don't need sex, but I think it does help in a marriage with the unifying
Absolutely.
piece of us being on the same page, of us always talking and having conversations and having the awkward conversations and the embarrassing conversations. Like, it helps, and that maybe that's part of the intimacy. Like, it helps us be unified.
And it's saying, and we've done this before. Like, we are, like, when we've been in a difficult season, sexual intimacy has been even verbally stated as, we are not going to let anything come between each other.
Right.
And sex is a symbol of that for us at times. Has been.
Well, and it's showing the enemy that you can't
divide us.
No. So we have had sex maybe when neither of us wanted to, but we knew we needed to come together as one to stay unified. And it does make such a big difference.
It does. And you're right. It's not a need, but man, is it a unifying thing. And so whatever help you need.
Yes. Get the help.
Get the help. And it doesn't mean there might be something that never goes away in your life that will always get will impede the pursuit of sexual intimacy. But don't stop talking about it. Don't stop trying. Find other ways to be physically intimate together that may not actually be full sexual intercourse, but it's ways that together you and your spouse can be one physically in intimacy sexually together.
Just even laying naked with each other.
I think we shared that in one of the podcasts. There was a story of a couple where the husband became a quadriplegic.
Yes.
And was not able to have sex, but that couple specifically, in pursuit of sexual intimacy, they would lay together naked, not able to do anything, but still doing everything they could to be one physically and sexually.
Mm-hmm.
It was a mind-blowing story. And we shared it in one of those previous podcast episodes. Yeah. So there you have it. We didn't warn you to put the kids, away before we went into that. So hopefully you caught on real quick if you're listening to kids around. 6 of the best marriage decisions we've ever made: seeking Jesus to be fulfilled, filling each other's love bucket, prioritizing our marriage over our kids, weekly date night, quarterly overnight getaways, and pursuing healthy sexual intimacy. Anything else to add, Sabrina?
I don't think so. I feel like that covers a lot.
I thought of a 7th one that we've talked about probably more than anything on this podcast, but our decision to Sabbath.
Oh, yes.
So go back and listen to Sabbath episodes. They're some of the most listened to ones we have. If we were to add a 7th one.
I agree. And because if we could have done that from the beginning, our whole lives would look different.
We've only been truly practicing Sabbath since 2020.
Yeah.
And But
It's been a game changer
Mhm.
the last 3 years.
In fact, if I were to list all these in order, I would put Jesus number 1, Sabbath number 2.
Oh, for sure.
That's how impactful it's been for us.
Because then out of your rest, you're just
Yeah.
able to
All these other things.
have better relationships and love on each other differently
Yep.
and have such an intimate relationship with Jesus, which allows you to have intimate relationship with your spouse or the people in your life. Like you
Yep.
just look at everything so differently when you Sabbath
Yep.
for 24 hours once a week.
Yep. It's been a game changer.
Yeah, that's good.
So Lord willing, next month, we will be grandparents. Sabrina is actually leaving on a jet plane
That's right.
on Tuesday, the day this releases, actually.
Oh, yeah.
So you're leaving today, the day this releases on the podcast, to go up to Cheyenne to be there for Mariah and her husband, Caleb. We don't know when she's coming back or if she's coming back. I did tell her she had to come back. Jada's like, Mom, you have to come back.
You know, Jada's like, Mom, you keep me alive. I'm like, your dad can keep you alive. For a while.
We bought Sabrina a one-way ticket. She's going to be up there for the birth, and we'll stay for as long as Mariah needs help or until we tell her she has to come back. So we're not planning for the foreseeable future any new episodes. I'll maybe repost some of our most popular episodes. Maybe I'll do an episode by myself. Who knows? If you do have any podcast ideas or suggestions, any questions or comments, you can email my assistant, Janice, at hello@jeffmanis.com. Sabrina, why don't we end with our marriage mission?
Which I think this is also something
Yeah, we do this
that
every day.
couples should do.
Yeah.
We pray together and we say this every single
Yep.
day. Again, when you love Jesus, it's another way to stop the enemy from interfering. Like, we are going to stay unified no matter what.
Yep.
With the divorce rate as high as it is, whether you love Jesus or not, like, we got to do everything we possibly can in our power to stay unified. And this is one of those ways.
Yep. I think we did a podcast on this.
Yeah.
Called Marriage on Mission.
How we developed it.
Yep.
And it's been a game changer again.
Yep. All right. We are united in Christ, unstoppable with Christ, and unbreakable because of Christ. Now it's time for you to go get naked.
And party.
We'll see you on the other side. You've been listening to the Naked Party Time podcast. Join us next time as we get real and raw about life, leadership, and love.